What were we doing here, Chris?
See these curtains?
Yes.
See this? And this?
A mallet.
Yes, we're bashing holes in the fabric. These are all little... Actually, these could come in handy. Little felt feet. We put these grommets in, and then we have curtains.
Yay!
Brilliant.
Curtains both sides.
Have you done these curtain things before, Andy? They really work well.
It's just random. How would that work? We got that might work, and yeah.
They're perfect.
It's brilliant.
It was that hole puncher.
Yeah, I love this thing. That's what torture praise used to like this.
Hi, so like we were just saying, so in the two of the tracks I'm doing tonight, all of the percussion sounds are edited from field recordings that I've made. One of them is field recordings made in a small wood next door to where I live, and another one is made field recordings from an artist community in a former quarry not far from where I live called Rockaway Park, and all of the samples there's a much bigger sample library. The sample library itself isn't very big, but there's all sorts in it, and that's available as donation. We're raising money for refugees.
Well, that's awesome.
Via the website.
So we'll check that out. Get the link from you in a second.
It's all on the website, kenfield.com.
So, Ken, do you think it's important that a person is let me put this another way. How influenced are you by your surroundings, the music you make? And do you think it's an important part?
Yeah, it is, because I think what it does is it helps me. It forces by deciding to use field recordings, even if they're processed to the point that they're almost unrecognisable. But when I use them in my music, it forces me to do all sorts of things. It forces me to get out the house with the recorder, which is nice. It forces me to think about how I can turn, a fairly nondescript, average-sounding bit of a stick breaking or something into something I can use in my music. And so the music it's by no means exclusively made with field recordings, but for me it helps makes it more me.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
So a real personal thing, and also the atmosphere of where you're from, and all that. Just hold it a little bit closer.
Yeah, and I think
that's really interesting. So you've got your entire analog section is here.
Yes.
You've got all your digital stuff here, and within that you've also got this organic, where you're from vibe.
Yeah, it's local field recordings.
This is going to be great. Thank you so much, Ken. We'll post a link to your donation where you say.
Yeah, for the little it's a little charity sample library. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right.
Brilliant. Right. So we're just going to have a little walk around the Sonic State EMOM Part 2. We're backstage at the moment, so follow me. See if we can find any people. And as if by magic we find Gaz, Chris.
Yeah. And if you can have mine, that'd be quite using your keyboard standards.
Doing visuals tonight. We've got Chris D over here. Hi, Chris.
Hello.
How are you doing? Here, I'll give you that.
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. What are you doing? Tell me what you're doing.
I'm trying to do the visuals this evening alongside Fiona. Fiona's also doing the visuals.
Ah, awesome.
Okay.
So what software do you use to make visuals?
I'm using Resolume tonight, and I've got lots of random clips that I found on the internet, which I'm going to be using. I've also got a MIDI controller here, which I'm going to be doing some jiggery pokery with. For example, changing the colours, or changing the size of various things. I can change the effect there, and then, for example, change the tiling. So yeah, I'm just going to be sitting in a dark corner by myself like I normally do for most of the evening.
Lovely.
We know where to find you.
You'll find me here.
Aim for the darkest part of the room, and there he is. Sorry, that wasn't really very fair.
That's fine, no, it's true.
So, Faye, what are you using? This looks like, is that some kind of, looks like slightly more boutique-y type stuff you've got going on there.
So I'm using the, I think it's called Corsair and Guitari, but it's the IZ is the module name.
Oh, is it right?
And basically it's got a load of shapes and things that when you plug in an audio source, it will then react to that.
Oh, right, so that's reacting to incoming...
Yeah. So Chris and I are going to take it in turns to kind of...
That's a bit amazing.
To do that, yeah.
So, are these actually wooden?
Yes.
Hello. Simon. Yes. How are you?
Need to sit down.
You need to sit down. Would you like a chair?
I'm gripping one with my right hand.
How dare you use that language on our show? Sorry, Gaz, I'm just going to come and say hello to you. Now, a lot of people on the show have been asking, what does Gaz put in his beard? And I've been told it's just water. Is that true?
No. Jism. Jism. But
Hummus.
no. Yeah, well, hummus is what you call it, isn't it? It's kind of no, but it's jism. It's
Man
jism.
hummus.
No.
How much of this is
Goat jism. Yeah, goat jism.
Goat hummus.
Yeah, goat hummus, as it's known as.
Can you
Yeah.
hold that? Because I suddenly feel... Now, if you could... Right, so... Okay.
Yeah.
But it does feel lovely, and I'm going to do this now on camera. I'm still going through on it.
Would you want
I'm
to?
way too hot. I'm going to have a little feel. In fact, maybe we can stick the microphone in there as well. Get it right in there. Yeah. Stick it right in there.
Oh yeah.
Let's turn the gain up.
How long until the beard becomes part of his performance?
Good question. I mean, have you ever considered
Wires.
somehow triggering things with your...
Well,
Here are your aerials, man.
Yeah.
I'm quoting.
You want beard patching?
Well, we did do Fiona designed my Gaz Williams show logo.
Yes.
And
it's
we've
lots
done a
of noodles in
version
there.
of it. We've done a little version of it where there's little jack plugs on the end of all the beard and hair bits, and but we haven't actually shown that in public yet. So
I mean, it's a dreadful thing to say, but I talked at length at how sexy it was putting the fingers in the beard, and I'm really happy that I've got to do it again tonight. Just once more, with a bit of sound as well.
But can you
so
feel?
nice.
Can you feel that goat jism on your
Really
fingers?
can.
You
Not only
feel
I can
it.
feel the goat jism, I can hear the goat.
You can see.
No residue.
That lasts. No residue.
Delicious. You smell gorgeous. Thanks, Gaz. I'm so sorry. We should have talked about music. You're playing tonight, aren't you?
I'm playing tonight. Yes, I'm playing as Bad Workman.
Right.
So Bad Workman is my techno kind of.
So
name.
I saw it. Is this now you played locally with it was a fog-bound gig in a church, was it?
Well, no, that was the one in Froome. It was Breeze Block Beats in
That's
Froome.
right.
Yeah.
Now that sounded like you'd turned something of a techno corner. If you don't mind me saying.
Yeah, well, also, I mean, my most recent addition to my live rig is I've put a donk in my system now.
Right, donk.
Yeah, so a donk, as in a donk is a doom.
Yeah.
So I got a switch and I got a 4 on the floor waiting.
This has nothing to do with Donkomatic, the first cork drum machine.
Donkomatic.
Do you know about Donkomatic?
Yeah, I know about Donkomatic.
Yeah.
I wonder if there is any connection with Donkomatic.
Possibly.
Donkomatic. There's a sample. There's a sample, isn't there?
It's one of the samples on the
on the
Call
Call sample, isn't it? Donkomatic. Yeah. But basically, it means now. I've got a little sort of switch, and I can. And no matter what else is going on, I can switch in like a kind of 4 on the floor.
Instantly bash it right in there.
Yeah, but you see, I was desperately trying not to be drawn into like a dance music-y kind of techno-y sort of thing with modular, kind of going more into, expansive, ambient.
Yeah.
But having done a few gigs, it's sort of like,
It's hard not to get excited by something that moves the crowd.
Yeah, exactly.
When you get a visceral reaction like that, it's like comedy. If people are laughing, you're doing all right. With music, when people are sitting quietly enjoying something, that's a beautiful thing as well.
Yeah.
But I think there's room for all of it, Gaz, isn't there?
It is, but it's kind of interesting now, though. Also, since I put this into my rig, it's sort of like the temptation to put it in all the time is there.
Okay.
And that makes everything sound like techno then.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to try it.
So we're going to be watching a man hold himself back this evening.
Well, I tried to do that. So I played in Norwich last week in a Syntheast event,
Yes.
and I was paired with Look Mum No Computer.
Yes.
In this kind of like this patch off thing, and and I flicked the donk in about 5 seconds. So
I think it was entirely appropriate because he did have a Furby screaming at you.
He did.
It's only fair.
But it is one of these things, though, where I feel that what I'm really interested in, I'm a performer. That's what I do. I am a music performer.
Yeah.
That's my thing. And to do like electronic music live, I was hoping to try and find a way where I felt like I was actually able to channel my liveness.
To burn some more calories while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Basically, is what needs to be done.
Yeah.
This is a problem with all electronic performers. I remember seeing. I probably shouldn't say this, but I've seen some electronic performers when you can see the energy to perform is there, and it's like, and the movement that's coming out is this, like a centimetre of something there and a tiny bit there, and the hands are shaking, not because necessarily you're nervous, but because it's the energy to perform needs to come out, and if you're not doing that, you've got to find some other way.
I'm trying. And
tricky,
yeah,
isn't it?
it is. And one thing I am finding is that I've got a stand which makes me stand upright. So instead of I
See the face.
I'm stood up.
Yeah.
And the gigs that I've done, I think it really helps the audience. You're not kind of like hiding behind something or crouching down.
So important.
You know, and I've got it like this. So
Yeah.
and I feel free, and I can.
Well, I've got a thing about singers that close their eyes as well. I always think of Phil Collins. And it's, no, eyes open into the crowd, please.
Yeah.
I always think that connection
Yeah.
is sort of important.
But I think from an audience point of view, watching, I think it's sort of. I think you want to be able to engage with the artist, visually and some. Yeah, so I'm finding by using a stand and being it, I can't help dancing.
Yeah.
The whole time. It's like it just gets me. It gets me moving.
I mean, I've seen you playing the bass at your birthday last year.
Yeah.
And it's a visceral, exciting, body-led experience. And I'm pretty sure it's only a matter of time before you manage to allow the orgasms to come out. And it's getting there.
I was so this week I've been rehearsing a little bit for today, using my bass as well, and
Oh, are you going to combine? Do you
combine, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense because I'm having the bit I'm having trouble with most is coming up with bass lines that are any good. Like I'm finding I've got a relationship with bass. I want more out of my bass. I can't get it.
Yeah. Are we
but-
in front of an exit? Hello, bit of level.
Hello. So where we go? Hello.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. We're very good. Probably a bit hot on me, actually.
Hot.
Yes. Hot. Ready. So have we started again? So, So what were you saying? You've got a stand-up performance.
Yeah, and also I've been using my bass guitar. I'm not going to use it tonight. I was going to, and I ummed and ahed about it, but I think I'm only playing 15 minutes tonight. But I think when I'm looking to do bigger, longer gigs now, and I'm definitely going to bring the bass guitar in because I can't find. I've got a relationship with bass. I play bass in a particular way, and I can't find that.
Yeah. But you may find it. I hope it wasn't something blowing up.
That was like.
I don't believe I'm saying this.
That
I hope it
sounded
was
like
just
a
something.
mad balloon pop.
Yeah. Or something big and flat falling over like that. Well, we caught it here first. That sounded like an electrical bang though.
That was horrible. That was horrible.
Should we end it here? Not an exploding place. Really look forward to this. Looking forward to seeing you playing with your bass as well. I can't wait to see how you do it.
Yeah.
Your mate Finley Shakespeare obviously combines vocals and modular in a
so
brilliant
good.
way.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I think it's important because a lot of it can be a bit like that.
Yeah.
The more up like that it is.
Yeah.
Jazz hands.
Yeah, jazz hands. Yeah.
Thanks for talking to me, Gaz.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And oh god, there's the beard again. Oh yes.
this entire evening to Dominic Hawken. Those of you who came last time may have seen him play and perform. Sadly, he was taken from us very, very suddenly, and it's all been a bit of a shock. But everything will be all right. I know that he'd want us to have fun, as he did on the night. He used the immortal words, "That's not a kick drum, this is a kick drum," and everything shook. It was fantastic. You weren't here. So anyway, without further ado, the first of our acts tonight is called The Occupier. Thank you very much.
Chris Calcutt, hello.
Hello, Chris Blackburn, how are you?
The Chris's together. It always, I don't know about you, but it always feels good when the Chris's come.
I think so, yeah. We had 2 Chris's in the car coming up as well. So,
Of course, Christy's here. 3 Chris's. Yeah. I wonder how many Chris's it gets to before you reach critical Christmas.
Yeah, and what is Christmas? There we go. And what is the plural of Chris? I don't know.
Chris
I don't know. Anyway.
It's an excellence of Chris's. So here you are playing, and I remember from seeing you at DB's.
Yeah, in Bristol.
My goodness, was that?
That was a setup.
5
years ago. Yeah.
So 5 years ago. So here we are.
Here we are back with another Sonic State night, and
so we've got another setup here, and I must say this is quite a large. Just play, it says.
just play.
That's it. Give us a little shout through what you've got here.
Sure. Well, this is totally different from the one that we did in Bristol. With that one, I was kind of belts and braces, and Nick told me to slim down the setup. So this is my slim down setup.
Oh, wow.
But what have we got going on? Well, the centre piece here is the Hapax. This is a full 16-track, well, actually potentially 32-track sequencer from Square.
Oh
French
man,
company.
that just come out this year? Is that right?
Well, actually, it's 1 year old right
1 year
now.
old, yeah.
It was a year old last week, I believe. But this is kind of the brains of it all. I've had this for quite a while. I was quite an early adopter with it, and I have to say, the sequences go, it's pretty spectacular. It's very powerful.
Yeah,
so
amazing.
of course, everything is kind of midied from here. I've got a tiny bit of CV going into the modular as well. But what else have we got? So I've got the circuit rhythm over here from my beloved home base of Novation.
I mean, it would be wrong if you didn't have some Novation stuff on the table.
Novation stuff, but yeah, the circuit rhythm is doing all the drums. There's lots of kind of loops and stuff in there, drum hits as well.
Yeah.
And that's basically the backbone of it. I've also got a little Nord Drum 3P here, which looks a bit weird because I hacked the pads off it.
No, wait a minute. Is that when you say hacked the pants off it? What have you done here?
So my very good mate, in fact my best mate is he's an engineer, mechanical engineer. So he's got access to a lot of metalworking tools. So basically, I gave it to him and said, just take these pads off, just chop them off, please. So that's what we did with the Nord Drum 3P. I don't want to play the pads, but I do want the voices.
That's fantastic. To have a friend that will happily take a hacksaw.
Yeah, indeed. So that's doing a little bit of extra drums. That's not actually doing a great deal throughout the set.
Right.
But above it, mixer here. So this is the Blue Box 1010 music. Really lovely mixer. Everything's kind of fed into that. I've got a couple of auxiliary sends on here. So I've got the main front of house and then 2 auxiliary sends, which fire over into this, which is the newest thing on the table. It's a stereo matrix mixer. I've been looking for one of these for years and years and years. So four-way sort of stereo matrix mixing for auxiliary sends.
So can you just explain to me what that means?
Okay, so I've got auxiliary 1, auxiliary 2 appearing here. these are the outputs, and they're feeding over into some of the effects over here.
Okay, right.
So basically I can decide, so if I want some just delay, no reverb, this is my reverb, I just take that down, my delay is there. This one is going into the mutable instruments beads for effects. This one is going into my wingy, which I'll tell you about in a second. So basically I can decide which of the auxiliary sends kind of goes to which effect.
Right.
And everything's stereo. I mean, you can get these in mono quite easily, but finding a stereo matrix mixer is pretty rare.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So we're talking, I mean, kind of patch bay mixer, but stereo and lots.
Yeah, it's basically, it's kind of, it's all of those things.
I'm a bit excited about that.
Yeah, it's really nice. I've not tried it yet because I've been prepping for this gig, but it's really good for feedback mixing as well. So you can feed signals back in on themselves and that sort of thing. It's really neat. So
that's amazing. That sounds.
It's a lovely thing.
Oh my god, I'm looking forward to this. You carry on.
Okay.
Take us through. There's something
next?
very big and obvious I'm looking at here.
Okay, of course, the Prophet X. So, I mean, now I also, an in-house brand for us at Focusrite is Sequential.
Yes.
And I'm technically now a product specialist for Sequential, which is rather splendid news for me.
So what happened with, how did this end up in your...
Okay, so I basically borrowed this from work thinking, I've got to learn how this thing works because if I get asked to demo it, I need to know how to demo it. Brought it home and fell head over heels in love with it immediately.
Right. Oh dear.
Exactly. Yeah, this will be mine. Yes, for sure. It's an expensive thing that my job sometimes, but stunning instrument. I mean, it's quite different from all the other sequential products. You know, it's not an analog synth per se. So it's got analog stuff in there.
But there's a lot of sampling in there, and
so
is it an analog filter?
So it's a stereo, right? It's 8 voices stereo 8 voice,
right?
Or you can switch it to 16 voice mono if you want. Okay. Stereo filter per voice. Wow. I think of it as 4 oscillators. So you've got 2 kind of, if you like, synth oscillators there, oscillator 1 and 2, but also these instruments here, these are the samples as well. Right. So, 4 oscillators basically into stereo filters.
Per voice.
Per voice. Now, the way I've got it set up here, I've got it into a thing called multi-mode, which means it becomes bitimbral. And so I'm sending from the Hapax, MIDI channel 1, I think it is going to one part, MIDI channel 2 is going to another part.
Fantastic.
And so, so it's actually working as 2 4-voice. 2 4-voice synths.
Oh my god, that's amazing. So this thing's been fed by the Hapax.
Well, the MIDI's fed there, of course. Audio is then routed into the blue box.
Are you playing at all by hand?
Not. Well, I did play into that thing a few weeks ago. So I did the playing bit there. So this is the notes.
To be fair, you've got plenty to do.
I'm spinning enough plates. So this is really tweaky stuff. Just a bit of tweaking, but also nice thing on the Hapax is you've got a transpose track if you want it, and so I can use the keyboard to transpose. So there'll be a little bit of transposition stuff going on from the keys, but that's it. I'm not doing any kind of heavy duty.
Does that grab everything and push it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, basically it'll just shift all the tracks.
That's brilliant.
So yeah, it's pretty neat.
So that's a pretty amazing little central setup thing.
It's pretty special.
I remember. Happy birthday, Hapax, by the way. Happy 1-year-old birthday.
Yeah, indeed.
But I remember when it came out. And it was like, oh, that looks really interesting. I haven't actually seen one in the flesh.
Yeah. It's a really interesting thing. It's really powerful. I mean, there's way too much to talk about on it at the moment, but like there's LFOs in there, envelopes.
This is about you, Chris. This is about you.
Sorry, I'm getting into product demo mode, and I don't even work for Swap.
It's hard not to, isn't it?
Exactly.
Should we go have a look up the other end?
Okay, so up here I've got some really nice effects as well. Auto Boom, which is compressor, distortion, just a great thing. And basically the circuit rhythm is fed into that. So that's basically just drum. It's a drum bus for me, really, I guess. Just to hot up the drums, bit of compression on there as well. I absolutely love that thing. It's always on my drums.
Absolutely gorgeous. So there's compression and a little bit of grit and girth and balls.
Absolutely. Some nice drive on there and that sort of stuff as well. The 2 wooden boxes next to it are actually guitar pedals made by a company called Vongon. This guy, I don't know where he's based actually, somewhere I think out in the States or Canada. But these are really, really high quality effects. I again, absolutely love them. The Ultra Shear is a reverb. I'm guessing it's based on that kind of old 80s, perhaps Lexicon sort of style. I don't know exactly, but it just sounds great. And this is his latest thing. This is called a polyphrase, which is basically... it's a delay with a difference because it's got you've got independent control of the left-right sides. You can use it as a bit of a looper if you want as well.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, but to be honest, this evening they're just there as auxiliary sends for delay and reverb, so nice little bit of effect to shove on stuff.
Lovely. And these are like basically they're hand built, or
well, yeah, it's a one-man operation. I'm guessing they probably are. I don't know for sure, but they're really, really lovely pieces. Now, there's two things over here I've not mentioned yet.
Let's go another.
This is a Mono Norns little music computer. Now, this is a bit of a swizz that it's on the desk, to be honest. All that this is doing is connecting over here to a module called Crow, which in turn is turning this module, the Just Friends module, into a 6-voice polysynth.
What?
Yeah. So, Just Friends is a bit of a weird module. It's really lovely. It's basically kind of 6 envelopes.
Yeah.
That you can loop, but of course a looping envelope can be an oscillator.
Yes, of course.
Therefore, it can be a 6-voice synth as well.
So you've got what's this little guy called again?
So this is called the Mono Norns, and this is running an app called Just Play, and that basically just says to the Just Friends, go into polysynth mode, and that's all it's doing. So I'm not actually using that for anything other than just to allow that to be as it is.
Wow.
Yeah, and then Just Friends is then going into Three Sisters, another Mannequins module, which is the filter. So they're just so lovely, those modules.
Yeah.
Not cheap and pretty difficult to come by, but they're definite keepers for sure. I love those two bits.
I just love it the way. I mean, I've said this before, but whenever talking to electronic musicians, it's like, I mean, it's never the same thing twice.
No.
When it's always.
This personality, I guess, is this is a snapshot of who I am at the minute.
Yes, absolutely. It's a beautiful snapshot.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I'm gonna say.
We've got to have a
Gaz
look.
is pulling focus.
Oh,
I think you need
yes, he's getting Batt Workman. There he is. That's superb, Gaz. Brilliant. So, I guess there's one last little piece to talk about.
One last little piece
to talk about. This little box here, the Wingy 2.
Right, what's that?
So this is made by a guy in China. Now, I'm going to get his name totally wrong. I think you say Meng Shi, but it's, or Meng Qi, or something like that. But it's a guy out in China who's basically building some really lovely things. He's got a box called the Wing Pinger, and it's all based around resonance.
I've seen the Wing Ping. Yes.
That's it. So this is like
Is this after the Wing Ping?
This is after the Winger Pinger. Pingy Winger? It's after that one. This is the Wingy 2.
The Wing Ping thing.
And that's it. And this is amazing. This is, again, it's digital resonators, and I'm just sending drums into it. But the thing that I love the most about this is it's just got such a beautiful distortion. It's overdrivey, blown out, just woolly, distorted greatness. And
I just wish, unfortunately we can't get an input into here to record it. We're going to have to watch the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously we can watch you on Sonic. Sonic State are going to show.
Well, and I think that video will be up for people to follow.
So they're going to live stream it and the video will be up. We'll get lots of shots of this.
But the thing with that though is, it's basically like having 2 rhythm guitarists with it. Because you've got basically 2 independent channels, and the distortion on it being fed by drums. It's just like having 2 killer rhythm guitarists. So
amazing. Chris, that is absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for
pleasure.
showing us.
Thanks, Chris.
I can't bloody wait. And well done for making it a bit smaller than last time.
Tiny bit small.
Cheers, Chris. Thanks a lot.
So, with no further ado, let's introduce Mr. Hill of MPeels.com.
Just a pan for the vibe.
Oh, sorry.
Just panning for the vibe.
Right.
Okay. Alright, we got Matt here. Matt's going to play tonight. In fact, he's top of the bill. And last time we saw you, you were supporting Utopia Strong.
Yeah, that was a good gig.
Yeah, and Chris did a sort of a rig rundown with you, which was fantastic. You had a really efficient setup for playing songs, basically song forms in the modular setup. So you want to talk us through, like, has it changed much since then, what you've got going on tonight?
Yeah, constant changing process, and I think if anything, I'm trying to get more out of little. A lot of people say that, but I really am. Working with a smaller case.
Smaller case?
Just trying to get more out of it with less, really. I mean, as well as usual oscillators going into filters, of which there's two really. I do also have a sampler now, the Bitbox, which is triggering loops, and it's also got one-shots. The thing about my music is you've got to have that banging kick drum all the time. It's go hard or go home.
Yeah.
So, I've got to have samples basically for that when I'm using such a small rig, basically.
Right. And what would you use for that if you had a larger rig?
I would probably use a combination of things. I can never get just the right kick drum from one thing, so I'd probably use a combination of the Pulsar, which I've got today. It's got a really great kick on it.
Fantastic.
The Perk One's drum machine, and then I'd also maybe use envelope on some pitch with an oscillator, combine those three things together, glue them together with some compression or limiter. Big fan of the Otto Boom. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but Chris has got one today, and that's really great for gluing stuff together.
Right.
So combining sounds to get to that sort of big sound. I've just never got the kick drum out of one thing.
So your samples, have you built your samples then for this particular rig?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, in this sampler here, not only have we got one-shots and things, but we've actually got multi-sample instruments as well, of string synthesizers I've done multi-samples of, and then weird kick drums and that kind of thing. Some of them a bit more aggressive than others, a bit noisy, but
fantastic.
Yeah, combination of that's all just being triggered via MIDI from the key step.
So what's the structure of the whole rig working here? Is it similar to how it was before? Would it take too long to go through?
Not really. Basically, the notes are coming in from the laptop through to the ES8. That saves a lot of space instead of having a big sequencer.
Okay. It sounds like we might have to cut this short, but thank you so much, Matt. It's really cool to see you. Looking forward to your set.